You know, it's not often that Hasbro is consistent even within its own line, but I'm willing to take a leap of faith if you are. This week we're taking a look at Marvel Legends Across the Spider-Verse Wave 2, Miles Morales. For a Spider-Man, Miles Morales is a lucky duck. Not only does he have parents, but they own a floor in Brooklyn.
I love you, son.
I know, Dad. You tell me every day.
Miles also won the lottery to attend an elite boarding school for brilliant and gifted students.
One particle of unobtainium has a nuclear reaction with the flux capacitor. Carry the two, changing its atomic isotoner into a radioactive spider.
After the death of his uncle Aaron, all his not-so-friendly spider friends turned their back on Miles.
He's looking right at us while we talk about him.
But he wastes no time in helping them get back to their universes. Well, right after a visit to Aunt May's for an outfit change. And then spray painting the outfit. Plus, I guess he had to wait for the spray paint to dry too.
Accessories! Does this purse go with my bra, brah?
Miles comes with a set of thwipping or web shooting hands, but no webs. And a set of fist bumping hands. No matter the figure, every Spider-Man should come with wall crawling hands. Just Google Miles Morales. Most of the images have him posing with open hands, but unfortunately the reuse police refuse to show the collective community love.
Are you guys hugging? It feels like a hugging moment.
Don't be absurd.
Stop yelling at me! I saved the day!
The wide-eyed expression on the masked head sculpt suits an enthusiastically newly bitten Spider-Man. If it looks familiar, then you were lucky enough to pick up the jacketed Miles figure from Wave 1. Out of the box, you may have thought you broke the ball joint at the neck, but the peg comes with the head. Which I should have known, because the unmasked head sculpt also has a peg in it. Speaking of unmasked head sculpts, the freshly faced younger Miles appears to be reuse from the jacketed Miles with updated paint apps. For as expressive as Miles was in the movie, this neutral expression gives off the impression that he's bored. But looking at us side by side, even the movie's bored expression is more animated than what we get here. All in all, it's a good likeness to the character, but I would have preferred a squinted mask head or a wider variety of hands. Due to the size and style of Spider-Verse figures, the only other hands in the wave that fit is Paviter's. Customizers could dye the plastic black, but there's no sculpted web lines. Not something noticeable from a distance, but as always, mod at your own risk.
Articulation, bruh.
There's a double ball joint at the head and neck, allowing you to look down, not up as much as you'd like for a Spider-Man, some left to right, and a crazy amount of tilt. Spider-Man has a mid-hinge, but the sculpt does continue when you go backwards and forwards. There's a swivel at the waist from that ball joint. Arms rotate all the way around, there's a bicep swivel, a pinless double jointed elbow with a crazy amount of bend. Arms ball and hinge all the way up and then some, hands rotate, hinging up and down. Legs kick straight up, out a good amount, there's an upper thigh swivel, a pinless double jointed knee. There's no boot swivel, feet do hinge down, hinge up, and rocks like that time the Close Talker met Santa Claus.
Go sit yourself.
Whether he's late for class or webbed to a chair, Spider-Man can go sit himself.
Alright, first up, proving that if you want to live in New York, you have to be either a criminal or a workaholic. Here's Uncle Aaron, the Prowler. Or you could be neither and be like Peter B. Unhoused. Here's Peter B. Parker. Does anyone else wonder why Miles didn't just lift the debris so that Spider-Man wasn't just laying there like a sitting duck goose? And here's a boy standing in his b-boy stance with his shorts, jacket, and shoes. Here's Miles Morales. And as surprised to be here as anyone else, here's slightly older Miles Morales. He might be in purple, but he has that blue steel expression. A straight up G on the prowl. Here's Miles G. Morales. Not sure if he works at Rockefeller Records or if he's just getting ready to give a diamond cutter. Here's Miles Morales. Head, shoulders, holes and knees and toes. More of an accessory than a figure. Here's Miles Morales, Spider-Man. And next up we've got a open slot for a criminally underrated criminal. Here's the Spot. We all know what happens to a Gwen Stacy when she falls in love with the Spider-Man, so you can't fault her for putting Miles in the friend zone. Here's Spider-Gwen. Not sure if he has the spider tingle, but he is bilingual. Here's Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099. And lastly, I feel like Ashton Kutcher is gonna jump out at any moment here, because just taking a figure and making it purple makes me feel like I'm getting punked. Here's Spider-Punk.
Think on sexy thoughts. Think on sexy thoughts.
For the majority of the movie, Miles had on a Halloween costume that wasn't exactly a snug fit, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, I would love to have in the Marvel Legends line. But as a collector, we want that hero moment where they put on the iconic costume for the first time and rise to the occasion.
It's a puberty thing.
This release's spray-painted spider logo is messy in all the right ways, continuing through the ab crunch seamlessly. Not something you can say about the shoulders though. The red hinge breaks up the sculpt whenever Miles lifts his arms. The noticeably large indents does allow for more articulation, but it looks ugly in certain poses. I understand having to match old sculpt with new parts can be a bit of a challenge, but the red plastic doesn't match the rest of the costume. Aside from the arms and the leg above the knee, this is the exact same sculpt as the Into the Spider-Verse Spider-Man, which is fine by me. Any consistency in the Legends line is appreciated. The lack of articulation in the hips, elbows, and runners gives this Spider-Man a leg up.
Why? Why didn't I break his legs?
Comparing both teenage Mileses to the actual Across the Spider-Verse Spider-Man figure, oldest Miles can look up higher and can fold himself up like an accordion, but that hinge at the ab crunch is wonky looking from certain angles. Young Miles, however, has a ball joint at the waist for those adjustment poses. That goes for the double ball peg at the head too, giving him more personality with either head. This Spider-Verse Spider-Man is fun to pose, but there's no large gaps enough on the figure for a conventional stand to work effectively, making it harder for anyone attempting to erase it from toy photography. Most of the time I was forced to wrap the stand around his waist or sit Miles on it like Wonder Woman's invisible toilet. It may be labeled incorrectly, but we finally get an Into the Spider-Verse Miles Morales Spider-Man. And sure, I am happy to get it, but considering how little plastic is used on the sculpt and how much of it is reused, it's shocking how little accessories we get with this release.